BBC.co.uk/Cornwall. BBC Radio Cornwall. Well, now, later this month, two super fit friends from Bude are going to attempt to swim across the hazardous 12-mile stretch of water from Hartland Quay to Lundy Island. My goodness. The plan is not to avoid paying the £65 return trip on the daily ferry service, but to raise over £2,000 for local charities. Our reporter Lucy Fisher caught up with Gary Redman and Steve McClure ahead of one of their training swims.
So you're joining me here at Bude, as you can see behind me, and we're down at the sea pool where I'm joining Gary and Steve. Gary is off to go. You're going to go underway, aren't you, Gary? Yeah. And Steve, tell us a bit then about what you're doing here.
Well, we're down here at the Bude Sea Pool training for our upcoming swim to Lundy Island, which is going to happen on the 31st of August, between then and the 2nd of September. And
why are you doing it?
Well, it's just a challenge. We thought we'd give it a good go. Gary and I are keen to, try and see if we can make the distance. It's only been done successfully once before, back in 1952.
So that is something that you really want to achieve then. How confident are you?
Quietly confident, but we're being realistic. There are a lot of variables in this swim: weather, tides, current being our kind of biggest worry, basically, because we could get swept anywhere.
And at the end, what would be the sort of ultimate for you? Is there a time that you want to do it in?
No, just literally making landfall on Lundy would be fantastic. Absolutely, literally would be brilliant.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, good luck with it all.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be watching to see how well you do.
More on that on TV tonight, 6:30 on BBC One, on Spotlight, of course. Now, this feat has only been completed once before, and that was in 1952, when a local man, Cyril Webber, and his friend, an Egyptian army officer called Captain Rahim, took up the challenge. Cyril was unable to complete the swim, leaving the good captain to claim the £250 prize. BBC Radio Cornwall's Dick Strawner, my producer tonight, spoke to Cyril's son, John, at his Barnstable home a short while ago, and began by asking him about the victorious Egyptian.
He actually swum the English Channel prior to this, so he was a very well-known long-distance swimmer in Egypt, and that's one of the reasons why he came over.
How did your father get to know him?
He got to know him during the war. My father was in Egypt during the war, and one of his jobs was to sort of organise water polo matches and swimming galas. He was a physical training instructor, and he managed to organise some games against the Egyptian teams, and this guy was in one of the teams, and got to know him then. So, of course, when this swim came up, which was like 4 or 5 years after Father was demobbed, got in touch with him, and they came over with his trainer, and they stayed in our house up at South Street in Barnstable.
Now, the swim, there was a prize for this, wasn't there? So did they both see it as a challenge? Were your father and Captain Rahim both very competitive men?
Well, that's very competitive, yes. I think Father would never have attempted this unless Captain had turned up as well, to be honest. But yes, it was £250, which of course was a lot of money in those days.
Sadly, your dad didn't actually make it across to Lundy, did he?
No, he suffered from seasickness. Had to be pulled out of the water. Yeah.
Did he talk about the swim much in later years?
No, not any more or less than the rest of his swimming exploits, of course, because of course he went on to coach the New Zealand water polo team and the Australian team, etc., etc. So his life and teach countless hundreds and thousands of people to swim, So swimming was my father's life, basically.
But what about Captain Rahim? Did he stay in contact with the family?
No, never heard anything from him since. So I don't know what actually happened to him.
From what you know of this story, if there was any bit of advice you could give to the two lads who are planning to swim across the end of this month, what would it be?
The only thing is, Captain, he managed to swim by only taking on fruit and American cream soda drink. That was the thing. The American cream soda then was some weird and wonderful concoction that he brought with him to North Devon. And so my mother actually wrote that this American cream soda was like this elixir he was drinking as he swam across. There is a cup which is, according to the rules of the regulations, there is a cup that's kept at the pub at the Williams Arms at Rafton, which was supposed to be presented each time somebody swam the Lundy, but of course it was never presented. I don't know whether it's still at the Williams Arms there.
1952, that swim, and the man got the £250 prize. Well, by my reckoning, that would have bought you a house in 1952. I wonder will you get enough to buy you a house today for making the swim? I think not. My producer for tonight, Dick Strawn, speaking to son of Cyril Webber, John Webber.